Leanne was my best friend. She was there for me through some incredibly tough times. She listened to me and encouraged me and gave me unconditional love, and that meant the world to me. It was a Friday, March 5th of 2010, and Leigh had texted me and said, "Hey, you want to go grab pancakes?" And I brought my girls and she brought her daughter, and we had such a beautiful morning just having breakfast. And I remember we talked about the Lord, talked about heaven. We talked about our girls and how beautiful they were and what a blessing they were. The next night, Leanne was coming home from work. She was a nursing supervisor at Phoenix Children's Hospital. Her life was taken in a car accident, and in one instant, she was gone. I tried to keep Leigh close to me by just spending time with those that loved her and knew her. I wanted so desperately for her to be in my life again, to be in her children's life, to be in her husband's life. The hard part about grief is that when you're in the midst of a very dark place, the world keeps going on around you. And I just constantly wanted it to stop. I had began sewing. It just proved to be really therapeutic for me, and I had gone on YouTube and learned how to sew a simple blanket, and I just sewed blanket after blanket after blanket. That Christmas after Leigh died, I was visiting her church, and I was watching a missions trip that the church had taken to Malawi, and looking at this kid's beautiful faces and these orphan children, I had noticed that they had clothes on their back and they had shoes on their feet, but not one of them had a blankie. I thought to myself, if these kids don't have blankies to call their own, I bet there's a lot of kids that don't. And a blankie brings comfort and warmth and can be a reminder of just the love of God. And in that moment, he gave me the idea of starting Leigh's Blankies. We launched Leigh's Blankies on February 5th of 2011. And in the last 3 years, we've been able to make and distribute 3,000 blankies to kids in need all over the world. Whether it's watching the women around me serve together, watching a child receive their very first blankie of their own, just being able to get to involve Leigh in my life now, to be able to share her life and her legacy with other people is such a blessing to me. I think the biggest joy of Leigh's Blankies was an opportunity that we had this past summer. We were invited by Mama Zipporah to come to Huruma Children's Home in Kenya. And they desired a functioning sewing program there at their school. And myself and 15 other volunteers went to Kenya, and we had raised the funds to provide sewing machines and thread and fabric and everything that they needed. And we set up a functioning sewing program at the school. Seeing the joy on those kids' faces, that not only were we bringing them blankies, but we were teaching them a sustainable skill that would help them make projects to raise money for their home or provide a job for them someday. And to be able to share that with others was such a gift. I still experience grief, and I think about Leanne every day. And I still miss her. And I still desperately want to talk to her, especially about the blankies. But I know that she's rejoicing in heaven. And because of my faith in Jesus as well, I'll rejoice with her someday. And I hope that we get to talk about all these beautiful things that her legacy provided.